little while ago, we got the first trailer for the third installment of the Avatar franchise, Fire and Ash, which is set to release on the 19th of December 2025. That first trailer, it showed us a bit, but obviously a lot of it was out of context. Hell, I'm sure that's the exact same thing we're going to be facing with this new trailer. The films go for so long that they could probably make every single clip from a trailer consist of moments from every single storyline contained within the film, and we still wouldn't be scratching the surface of understanding it. I do kind of love that though, because it keeps things unpredictable, but at the same time, I also enjoy being able to have some sort of idea ahead of time. Okay though, with all that being said, let's go through this latest trailer and see what we can find. We start off with Varang, who's being positioned as the main antagonist across both of these trailers. Same thing when you look at the poster. More than any other character, she is front and center. I really hope they don't kill her off just after one movie. I think the idea of having a proper antagonistic Na'vi haunting the long-term narrative would be great. I know in the end they seemingly have framed Quaritch as the main antagonist, but I don't know. I just think that having a wide spread of potential villains is the better way to go. Her design's really awesome as well, so it would be a shame if she was a short-term character based on that alone. We start off with her standing over a fire talking about how it's the only pure thing in this world. And great acting here too, her voice is really cool. She explains that the reason they're ash people is because a volcanic eruption destroyed their home in the forest. In search of salvation, her people cried out for help, and supposedly, Awa didn't help them. I wonder what that means. I know there are a lot of people out there that try to have this view of Awa just being an interconnected web across the planet that functions more like a brain. That there's a scientific explanation for everything, and she isn't some sort of spirit or deity. However, I kind of just like the idea that she is as described. Hence the whole consciousness transfer for Jake and the virgin birth kind of thing with Kiri. Thus, through that lens, I kind of think it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Think of the miracles we've seen Awa perform. Couldn't she have helped out these people getting wrecked by a volcano? Couldn't she have sent some sort of warning ahead of time that it was about to explode? No wonder they're a little bit salty about things. A couple of other things I also found interesting. I kind of expected this would have been something that happened a long time ago, but the way she was talking, it felt like something that she herself experienced. Thus, I think there's a big chance they're going to be something completely new and unheard of for the protagonists. I feel like if this heretic tribe had existed forever, they'd be pretty damn famous right now. I also just want to say these guys are absolute mad lads for staying in the volcano field all of this time instead of just, I don't know, leaving. Seriously, they survived the eruption and the burning of the forest and either fled to safety and then returned afterwards, or they said screw it, and somehow they survived the flames and the lava and they didn't bother going off to search for better lands. You can just tell that these guys have gone off the deep end. Oh, and my god, the Na'vi! Such pristine teeth! Even the crazy ash people just have these pearly whites. Doesn't impact or change anything, but for some reason my eyes just honed in on it in this opening scene. We then cut to Loak on one of the flying things, always forget the damn names. We see the giant whale thing jumping out of the water with Loak and his girlfriend riding on its fin. We see some more flying and the music playing, and it's all just very peaceful and atmospheric, really fun and vibrant. You gotta get those family feels in there early because you just know it's all gonna go to shit sooner rather than later. So they're travelling from the village over to some flying jellyfish blimps that are the home of yet another Na'vi called the Wind Traders. How the hell does James Cameron and his creative team think of shit like this? It's absolutely incredible. And once again, I just want to take a sidetrack to acknowledge the visuals here are absolutely amazing in every respect. It feels like it's something that you could see in real life and yet is also unlike anything I've ever seen before. We see Spider walking around and then it cuts over to Jake at night sitting with his family, but it seems some of them are asleep or resting. He talks about how the world is much deeper than you imagine, and no idea who he's talking to here, but I presume he's imparting wisdom to Loak since he's supposed to be the main protagonist going forward, right? We also see Kiri and I think it's Spider underwater as some underwater plant thing starts to glow. Is it a plant? I don't know, who knows. Pandora's weird like that. We have a shot with the Metcalfeña chief and his wife, and then Jake and Neytiri who are surrounded by those giant whale things. All of these giants just rising out of the water all at once, well and truly triggered some thalassophobia for me. Just gave me the shivers. How I hate deep water. Especially when you can't see below the surface, and it's cloudy, and there's just anything lurking. Ugh. The cloud coverage of this scene makes it so much worse. No thank you. I wonder what's going on here though. It's almost like some sort of ceremony involving the creatures. I'm really curious to see what's going on here. We see even more flying, this time judging by the context it's going to be the ash people attacking the wind traders, and for some reason, Jake and the rest of the Sullys are here too? I wonder why, because it doesn't look like it's anywhere near where the Metcalfeña live. Although in the very next scene we do see that Jake is in a combat vest and has a gun, which you wouldn't already have unless you're expecting trouble, right? I doubt he just wanders around the village in full kit. Maybe the village has already been attacked by this point and they leave, and perhaps they catch up with the wind traders who are then also attacked. We see Jake tell Loak to protect his sisters, and it's also pretty clear that this is going to be more than just a little skirmish. Jake's fighting, Spider seemingly fights an Ash Na'vi himself using a bow. Not sure how much success he's going to have there, but he'll give it a try. Varang fires an arrow, looks like it's shot at Jake, but I suspect that's a spliced up scene. I think the first shot's her just fighting, then later she's going to throw some sort of bomb at him, because I feel like a normal fire arrow ain't going to do this. It seems Jake and some of the other Na'vi were trying to fight back from the high ground. The three with him, they seem like they're probably dead based on them ragdolling, and then he falls off the top. There's still a fin underneath for him to land on though, so he's not going to fall to his death. Either that or he's going to get grabbed by one of the flyers. We then see the younger Sullys running through the jungle. I'm thinking maybe the blimp they were on crash landed and now they're running away from attackers. And there's this cute little scene where Loak's leading them to safety and he's trying to keep Tuck calm. We then see Spider laying on the ground with no mask and a bunch of, roots, fibers going into his mouth and nose and eyes, and it's all pretty horrific looking, isn't it? Okay, so I'm thinking this is going to be immediately after Spider's mask cracks like we saw in the first trailer for the movie a couple of months ago. So they're going to get attacked by the Ash people, his mask is going to get damaged, he starts choking, and I guess Kiri uses her power to somehow alter him to be able to breathe and really just be part of Pandora unlike any other human that's come before. At some point, the Ash people are going to get their hands on him as we see him being questioned by Varang, and then they're going to let him go? That's the part that confuses me. Because they clearly somehow avoid or escape them. They have enough time to go about other storylines, like Jake going to the scientists to talk about the changes in Spider's DNA, or Quaritch linking up Varang and the Ash people with the RDA, and seemingly going to lead a full-scale attack on the Metcaina. See, it's like I said, with run times upwards of 3 hours for a single film, it can sometimes be hard to pin down the exact chronology. Back to Spider changing, it's clear there's going to be some ripples across the narrative as a result of all this. The first of which we see is Jake going to talk to the scientists, and they wonder what would happen if humans were able to live on Pandora without masks. Spoiler alert, I don't think it's going to go well for the Na'vi. That being said, I guess only Kiri would be able to transform them, so maybe only people she believes are worthy or who embrace nature and the preservation of Pandora would be allowed. I don't know. It feels like Jake is a little bit afraid of what could happen, but could you imagine friggin' Neytiri? She already hates this kid for existing, for being the son of Quaritch, for being an outsider and not belonging on Pandora. But now, in much the same way as Jake, this is actual acceptance from Eywa. Proof that this kid is now the same as them. I feel like it's going to shatter her worldview somewhat and cause a whole lot of drama. I mean, they did connect up the scene with him walking around with no mask to her looking over at him with shock. It's intercut with Jake saying the Na'vi people will be gone. And the way they've cut this makes it look like Jake's talking about how if humans are able to thrive on Pandora, the Na'vi will disappear, but I suspect they're actually going to be talking about something different. Also, is Neytiri dressed up as an Ash person here? What's going on? Does the kid being able to live and breathe send her off the deep end so much she somehow joins the Ash people and abandons Eywa? Is she trying to infiltrate? Is this just war paint of her own choosing? I have so many questions! Either way, I'm not sure that Jake in this scene is actually talking about the RDA destroying the Na'vi, because it feels like that's something Neytiri wouldn't need to be told as some sort of hard lesson. We see Spider mounting up on one of the water creatures with Kiri's help, and I found it funny that he already has a pair of goggles at the ready like he's doing his first swimming lessons. We then move on to Quaritch meeting the Ash people. Okay, so I have some sort of idea as the chronology now. Maybe. So I think there's going to be some stuff going on in the Metcaina village, the Wind Trader's going to turn up, and I guess the Sullys maybe go for a joyride? I don't know. The Ash people attack him in that canyon, and the youngsters fall into the jungle. Spider's mask gets destroyed and Kiri saves him, but they get caught, which is where we get that scene with Spider and Varang. Now we get to see how they escape. I think Quaritch has been tracking them, he's going to come in and somehow convinces them to let the kids go in exchange for, an alliance maybe? After all, in a subsequent scene, Quaritch says to Varang that if she wants to spread her fire across the world, she needs him. Man, I'm sensing some tension here, not gonna lie. To be honest, if she does stay in the story long term, I think it would be very funny to have them become some sort of couple. Quaritch, I feel, is the dark reflection of Jake. I think we are going to see him become more and more Na'vi the further along the franchise goes, but he'll still go the path of maximum chaos. In the Way of Water, Quaritch claimed one of the flyers, but it felt less about embracing the culture than it did becoming strong and getting a weapon to use, as opposed to Jake, who got one and fully integrated into the people. Thus, I think it would also be funny to see him marry a princess/queen. Whereas Jake had this nice love match, Quaritch gets down with the crazy cultist murderer. On top of that, it would make Spider's situation even more funny and insane. His only real parental figure's this guy who's been distant all his life and described him as a stray cat, like an animal that your kids keep feeding. Yikes. His wife in turn hates you for reasons you can't control and actually tried to murder you not so long ago. Meanwhile, your bio dad totally wants to wipe out the family that you love and outright was involved in the death of one of them. Now he has a new girlfriend who's the antithesis of everything you know about the Na'vi and is full on crazy pants. I think it's so ridiculous that it just has to happen. Obviously, at the very least, it seems she's going to accept his offer to work with the RDA, and I think in turn, that's going to lead to an attack on the Metcaina. At the very least, I'm thinking Jake's going to get abducted and taken in. At some point, there is going to be a big battle. We see the RDA with a huge invasion force, and then Loak seemingly rallying the troops and shouting out that they have to fight. I guess he's slowly stepping up into some sort of leadership role, and perhaps Jake isn't there at this time. Then we have some cool action. The RDA seemingly have crab suits that let them swim in mech form, and that's pretty awesome. But they need to invest in stronger glass at this point, because we literally see Rhea spearing the glass a couple of times and letting in water to drown this dude. Kiri calls upon the warrior mother, who I guess is Awa. She's hoping that the sea creatures are going to smite the humans, and it works. Those freaky squid things jump out of the water to kill those dudes in their speedboat. Yikes. Those are some of the more horrific creatures we've seen yet. It seems that Jake's going to reunite with that giant flying beastie he claimed in the first movie that made him the war leader to fight the RDA. Guess they need him again, right? One last adventure. What happens to Jake, though? I'm not sure they're going to kill him after his son just died in the previous film. It feels like that would be too much too soon, but maybe he gets paralyzed again, so Loak needs to step up to fill his shoes. We then see Neytiri flying around and fighting. First up, she's fighting the RDA in I think the same battle that we saw the sea creatures in. I think this has been spliced up with the attack on the Wind Traders though, as Neytiri has different war paint and the big jellyfish are still flying around in some of the shots. Plus the actual terrain of the two battles is different. We see that Spider's going to confront his dad and threatens to kill him, but I doubt he does. Then it's just more battle stuff. Loak being a badass and Jake and the big fella entering the fray as well. Holy shit, I'm hyped for this. It looks incredible. I'm massively salty that we have to wait all the way to December to see it. I want it now, damn it! Of course though, with all that being said, these have just been my opinions and I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the trailer? Did you like it? Maybe not? Are you hyped for the movie? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let me know.